Even Anthony Joshua had some class and, apologized to me.
Did he really?
Yeah. He worked his way
What?
through the crowd and came up to me and said, Mom, just know it's just boxing.
He says it's the fight game.
It's just the fight game.
Anthony Joshua just exposed what could be the biggest behind-the-scenes shakeup in boxing this year, and Joe Rogan isn't holding back. The shocking revelations about Jake Paul's fight strategy and possible manipulation attempts have the MMA world in uproar. In this video, we break down every reaction, every hot take, and what this could mean for Paul's career and boxing itself. Rogan's raw warning: the price of a broken jaw. The moment the fight ended, Joe Rogan's concern was immediate and unfiltered. He did not speak of hype, victory, or spectacle. He spoke of consequences, of the unseen damage that no highlight reel could capture. Jake Paul had taken a direct hit that shattered his jaw in 2 places. Rogan's voice carried more than alarm. It carried authority, the weight of someone who understands what the human body and mind can endure before it breaks.
He has had no real professional opponents other than Tommy Fury that were legitimate world-class boxers.
I don't even remember what happened in the Tommy.
He lost a close decision, but it was a good fight. It was a good fight, though. He's a good boxer. If he wasn't a YouTuber, people would be way more impressed with him.
Yeah.
The problem is he was like a famous kid, and then no one took him seriously.
Yeah.
But
and then he started too with like more spectacle-ish fights. People were like, "Oh, this is you." He fought, Nate Robinson, like a basketball player.
But the thing is, he knocked Nate Robinson
He knocked him
dead,
the fuck out.
and
yeah.
it's the way he did it that I was trying to tell people. I'm like, no, that was skillful.
Yeah.
And breaks his jaw in 2 places.
Yeah. And
He's fucked. His jaw's wired shut now. He lost teeth.
he made it to the 6th round.
Yeah.
Pretty wild.
Do they put your teeth back in when they pop out like that, or are they gone forever?
I don't know. But it's just wired shut for like 6 weeks now.
Yeah, you got to eat nothing but protein shakes.
Don't do this very long. There's a price you pay that's not worth it. It's unavoidable. Some people never return. Don't get there, Rogan said. The warning was clear. This was not merely about a single knockout. It was about the cumulative cost of repeated concussions and trauma, the slow erosion of neurological stability. He spoke of brain imbalance, of depression, of a reality Paul may not yet fully grasp. Yet within his caution, Rogan recognized resilience. He noted the unexpected durability Paul displayed. Against a world-class heavyweight like Anthony Joshua, Paul had survived longer than many predicted. He absorbed punishment that would have ended lesser-trained athletes. Rogan acknowledged this with measured respect, but never let admiration dilute the gravity of his message. Surviving a moment does not erase the risk of a lifetime. The underlying message was psychological. Rogan framed the fight as a turning point, not a spectacle. The signals were subtle but present: the trajectory of Paul's choices, the warning signs in his approach, the evident mismatch between confidence and preparedness. Each landing punch was more than a physical strike. It was a signal of inevitable consequences, a foreshadowing of what continued pursuit might cost him. In this analysis, Rogan positions himself as a guide, one who sees the hidden dangers behind the public performance. He urges reflection. He urges caution. For Paul, the question is no longer about fame, money, or revenge. It is about the fragile line between persistence and permanent damage, and whether the fight is truly worth crossing it. Joshua's brutal statement: power meets preparation. Anthony Joshua entered the ring not just with skill, but with inevitability. From the opening rounds, the pattern was visible to anyone who chose to look closely. Joshua's preparation was meticulous. Every movement, every feint, every calculated punch was designed to expose the limits of his opponent. Eddie Hearn described the outcome bluntly: Joshua shattered Jake Paul's jaw. The words are simple, but the weight behind them is profound. This was more than a knockout. It was a statement of professional dominance. Max Kellerman, analyzing the fight afterward, highlighted what was already apparent. Joshua's power was not a spectacle. It was the product of years of training, of evolution in technique, and of psychological precision. Each strike landed with authority. Each sequence revealed the gap between a seasoned professional and an influencer stepping into the heavyweight division. The KO was decisive because it was inevitable. The structural advantage was not physical alone. It was strategic, mental, and deeply conditioned.
At Anthony Joshua, Jake Paul gave up enormous size, experience, talent, everything. And guys, if Anthony Joshua is coming to hurt you, which he was, and Jake Paul was tackling his legs. He was trying to use takedowns. He was exhausted.
Yes.
He was running. Yeah! Are you joking? No kidding!
Yes.
He's trying not to get killed.
Lennox Lewis echoed the sentiment, noting the predictability of the outcome in the face of true professional power. Paul's resilience was visible, his determination undeniable. But against Joshua, heart alone could not bridge the distance between preparation and improvisation, between discipline and showmanship. The fight unfolded like a slow-motion lesson in timing and consequence.
I think he's trying to wind himself up and say that he wants to go out there and make an impact. I think using kill is the wrong word. You know, we don't want to kill because boxing is a dangerous sport. You do have the license to kill being a boxer. You know, it only takes one punch. But I don't think he meant it like that. He just meant that he's going to brutalize him. He's going to go after him and take him out as quickly as possible.
Even the pauses mattered. Joshua's patience, his measured pacing, revealed a confidence built on certainty rather than instinct. The knockout was not sudden chaos. It was the culmination of an approach that left no room for error. Each strike was both punishment and pedagogy, a demonstration of the inherent risk when an influencer challenges a seasoned heavyweight. For observers, the lesson was clear. Professional boxing is a language, and Joshua speaks it fluently. The fight exposed more than Paul's limitations. It revealed the invisible structure of mastery, the subtle cues, and the psychological inevitability that governs outcomes at the highest level. In Joshua's hands, victory was not flashy. It was absolute, precise, and unavoidable. Critics clash. Spectacle or sport? The fight left more than physical marks. It left opinions fractured. Carl Froch described it plainly: a disgrace. To him, the bout was a spectacle masquerading as sport, a clash that blurred the line between entertainment and legitimate competition. The mismatch, the media circus, and the crossover nature of the fight overshadowed the technical achievement in his view. For Froch, the fight was an anomaly, a deviation from the discipline and rigor boxing demands, yet not all voices aligned with that critique. Stephen Breadman Edwards offered a different lens. He acknowledged Joshua did not display his sharpest form, yet he recognized the fight for what it ultimately was: a victory grounded in skill, timing, and inevitability. Edwards framed the KO as a win for purists. In his perspective, Paul's survival highlighted the strategic restraint and precision required to deliver a knockout in a scenario where failure carried consequences beyond entertainment.
You did good though.
Listen, Malik is a loyal guy. You gotta give him that. Zerto trains in the gym with Malik a lot.
Yes.
Malik is a loyal man. Look, Max said it. You have to give Jake Paul a ton of credit. We were all mocking him for fighting Gervonta Davis, and deservedly so. And yes, he ran around the ring, but he hit Joshua with a pretty big overhand right. He had a game plan, right, guys? He knew what he was trying to do. He was trying to tire Joshua out, it seems.
He had no chance to win that fight.
No
like, the
chance.
idea that he's being criticized, Mike, for he had zero chance to beat Anthony Joshua, but he gave it his best shot.
And I will say, I came out of that fight, and people may disagree, I came out of that fight impressed with Jake and disappointed in Joshua.
Max Kellerman's analysis bridged these extremes. He recognized both the spectacle and the substance. While the fight drew eyes for its crossover appeal, Kellerman emphasized Joshua's elite power, the undeniable gap between professional mastery and influencer experimentation. His commentary underscored the structural logic behind the knockout. The result was never in question. The outcome was a demonstration of preparation, mental clarity, and raw capability.
Like he shot.
He
I'm
might
saying
be.
he's on the second
You
half of his
can't
career.
tell if he shot or not
Right.
because you can't see how he reacted to punches because
Every
he didn't
punch
get
he has
but
got
it's
knocked out
possible
with,
is,
those
is
same
what I'm saying.
punches would have hit
Right,
another
it's at least
heavyweight, they would have got him out
What
of
is
there.
Fury
If
doing?
Dubois would have hit anybody
maybe-
else with that right hand, they would have been gone.
Let me say this
Yeah.
then. My bad, Malik. I'm sorry. My terminology for boxing is a little different. You're a trainer, a top tier, so
Right.
I'm sorry. He's not that good no more. Can I say that? Is that safe to say? He's not though. Like
Right.
I watch Max and everybody loves Max, and I do too. I watch him think and claw for these words of praise. He beat Klitschko at 41 years old years ago.
Yeah.
He beat Joseph Parker before Joseph Parker was like, okay, he a real deal dude.
No, he was already a real dude.
Yeah.
Okay, hello.
Alexander Povetkin, another gold medalist.
Yeah, listen, man, listen. You can try all you want, but the truth is,
not good.
his resume is just good.
In observing these critiques, the signs of inevitability become clear. The fight was less a contest and more a lesson in consequence. The divergence of opinion only amplifies the clarity of the outcome. Preparation, skill, and psychological control determine the victor long before the first punch lands. MMA and UFC reactions, awe, shock, and strategy. The fight resonated beyond boxing. In the MMA and UFC communities, it sparked careful analysis rather than mere celebration. Fighters and analysts dissected every moment, not for spectacle, but for insight. There was recognition of what Paul endured, a test of resilience against a seasoned heavyweight, and caution about the consequences that loomed over him. Many noted Paul's chin, his capacity to absorb punishment. He survived moments that could have ended lesser-trained opponents, demonstrating an unexpected durability that drew both admiration and concern. UFC fighters highlighted how his early movement and takedown attempts showed glimpses of strategy and adaptability, though ultimately insufficient against Joshua's measured power. Even as observers acknowledged Paul's effort, the outcome was framed as inevitable. The narrative was not of shock, but of quiet predictability. The structural advantage rested entirely with Joshua.
And you're going to stand in front of that guy? And he avoided shots till the 6th round. He just started getting tired.
Yeah, his movement in that fight was crazy.
It was very good.
Yeah,
it was very good.
He was really keeping him moving around the whole ring, and then
you can't afford to get tired.
You can't get
That's
tired.
The thing is, like, he gets tired in a lot of his fights in the later rounds. You should really sort that out, because if he had a much bigger gas tank, like if he was training with like some of these elite world-class strength and conditioning coaches and just worked on his cardio, he'd be beating way more guys.
You think so?
Yeah, 100%. But it's like what he's doing is learning how to box, and he's boxing and he's training hard for sure. But to get that world-class gas tank, you need like a Sam Calavita, you need like a Nick Curson, you need like these plyometrics experts that got heart rate monitors on you, and they're checking when your recovery is ready and go.
Yeah.
And you fucking
Yeah.
The Weasel, an MMA analyst, contextualized the fight with precision. He noted that while the knockout took longer than some expected, it was the result of Paul expending energy through movement and wrestling attempts, factors that delayed but could not prevent the decisive conclusion. The MMA guru echoed this perspective, pointing out that Paul demonstrated heart and technical creativity, yet emphasized the gap between specialized MMA skills and elite boxing power. The lesson was clear: adaptability delays consequence, but it does not negate it. The analysis from UFC circles reframed the spectacle into strategy. Paul's effort was impressive, his endurance notable, but each moment was a step toward a foregone conclusion. Analysts focused on the psychological and tactical layers, interpreting every choice and misstep as part of an inevitable arc. Joshua's dominance was not merely physical, it was structural, mental, and disciplined. In this environment, admiration and caution coexist. The message is subtle but ominous. Resilience can postpone fate. Creativity can challenge expectation, but in the framework of elite preparation versus crossover endeavor, the end is rarely uncertain. Paul's journey through the fight offers lessons for those who observe closely. Survival is not synonymous with victory, and consequence is seldom negotiable. Celebrities, social media, and public debate. The aftermath of the fight extended far beyond the ring. Celebrities and public figures weighed in, offering perspectives that ranged from admiration to amusement, but all underscored the significance of the outcome. Kevin Garnett praised Joshua's performance, calling it a masterclass, while Chad Johnson highlighted the patience and precision behind the knockout. Logan Paul, speaking for his brother, acknowledged the loss, but emphasized Jake's courage and effort, framing it as a valiant attempt against a true professional.
Some people believe in fairy tales. Whoever believed that Jake Paul was going to win, that was an absolute fairy tale. I've got a friend in a group message that said, I just put $20 on Jake Paul to win. I was like, bro, you just wasted your money. There was never a world in which Jake Paul was going to beat Anthony Joshua. It was always a matter of how the fight would end. So I watched all the pundits talking about the fight. Even Rosendo, my boxing coach, I was like, does Anthony Joshua represent boxing? Everybody from that world felt like Anthony Joshua was representing boxing. And as the fight started to go on, first off, he was representing boxing, so they wanted him to get the job done. All right, first and foremost. You can't lose to a guy that's perceived to be a YouTuber, even though today, Jake Paul is more boxer than YouTuber. I've said this time and time again. When you have resources, when you can spend $1 million a year on training camps, housing, food, coaches, this is not recreational anymore. He's a boxer. He's just not a boxer at that level.
Online, the conversation was relentless. Social media users dissected every frame, focusing on Paul's broken jaw and the clear physical toll of the fight. Some speculated about the narrative, questioning whether elements had been staged or scripted, yet no credible source endorsed such claims. Others celebrated Joshua's dominance, noting the ease with which he controlled the pace and executed the knockout. The fascination was not merely about the outcome, but about the psychological dynamics, the gap between preparation and improvisation, skill and showmanship. Even amidst humor and commentary, a pattern emerged. Analysts and professionals consistently framed the fight as a decisive conclusion to a spectacle that had drawn attention precisely because it carried risk. Social media amplified emotion, but behind the jokes and threads lay acknowledgement of a simple truth. Joshua's power, patience, and preparation dictated the outcome long before the first punch landed. The broader public debate mirrored the structural realities of the fight. The clash was a convergence of narrative, expectation, and professional discipline. Paul's endurance and occasional tactical choices delayed consequence, but could not alter the inevitability embedded in Joshua's mastery. For observers, the consensus is unambiguous. The spectacle is over. The narrative has closed. Joshua ended the contest with precision, leaving both the influencer and the audience with clear markers of what is possible and what is perilous. The lingering question is no longer about the fight itself, but about the future. Can Jake Paul continue in this arena without risking more than just defeat? The answer, for now, remains a cautionary silence. Before it's too late, consider the path Jake Paul must take: retire, adapt, or risk permanent consequence. The choice now lies with him, and with the sport itself. What would you do in his position? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.